Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. Steve here at Logic FX Trading, and welcome to Daily FX Analysis. Okay, really interesting day yesterday, folks. Um, the stock markets were drawing down and drawing down the whole day. I think at one point it was $800 or $900 down, and I just thought, oh, I'm not even watching this. So switched the computer off, and I went into town for a wee Christmas drink. And as usual, you take the phone with you and you can't help but look. And when I got into the pub, I checked and it was only down 150. And I thought, wow, whatever the Fed said, the market's like. And then as I was leaving the pub, I was about $250 up. So it was a swing of $1,000, guys, in a few hours. It was crazy. I don't know what it was in percentage terms, but I ended up about, I think it was about 1.5% up on the day, and I must have been, a good 3 or 4% down at one stage. I'm not entirely sure of those figures. It's a $25,000 account, so you do the math yourself there. But it was crazy. It turned out to be good crazy, but at one stage it looked like bad crazy. But all you can do in these situations is, bide your time, guys. There's no point in panic selling because they will come back up. It just depends how long it takes them to come back up, and then that translates into how you did for the year. This year's basically turned out to be a write-off for me because of the last couple of months. It's taken me from I think at one point it was 11 or 12% up, and I'm currently 5% down on the year. So it's quite a swing, guys. It's a good 16% swing in a couple of months. But I do think that I'm well set. Now, I could have held on to that, not held on to the 11%, that would have drawn down. But I've been buying the dip, guys, and the dip's continued. And I did talk about this yesterday. So I'm well positioned for when they come back up. I've got in at better prices than I haven't get into anything anywhere near the top, guys. In general, 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50% drawn down on where they were. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed. And obviously, I'll be adding to the position, not the position, to the account on a monthly basis, as I always do. So that money will either hold in cash, just in case there's a further dip, or buy more at these low prices. I'm not entirely sure which will do yet, but we'll build up a little cash. I think we'll build up a little cash pile and keep it as an insurance policy in case things dip, guys. And then if they dip, we can buy in. Okay, just on to the economic calendar, guys. This was yesterday, how it played out. We got heightened inflation in the UK come in higher than forecast. We did talk about this yesterday. We had Canada come in as expected, but there's still high numbers, guys. Remember, we're really looking for 2.5% tops, in fact, you'd probably be hoping for maybe less than that with the growth coming in at 2.5%. And then retail sales in the US come in at 0.3, forecast 0.8, revised 1.8. So that came in low as well. Now, I didn't actually see the Fed's press conference. It was 7:30 last night. I was already on my way to the pub by then, and that was probably around the time that things changed, guys. So it was definitely the Fed press conference. What I've picked up from it so far is that the Fed are saying they're going to accelerate their tapering, but the wording behind it, the market liked. So some of the fear that had been baked in over the last couple of weeks released. Now we'll wait and see if this is the start of of a climb back up, or whether it's just a little spike before market continues down, guys. We don't know that yet. Hopefully it's the start of a climb back up. I'm not saying we're going to go to new highs on individual stocks, but certainly let's just get something to draw with here, guys. Go over here. If we go and look at, say, something that I have. All right, Corsair. Corsair has been way, way oversold, in my opinion, guys. These are the places where I bought into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one more. Oh, yes, 6. There's it there. So if Corsair comes up, I'm really going to score. That average is probably even a little bit lower than that because I bought that one. I was considering adding a second, but percentage-wise, it's starting to get a little bit too high. A percentage off the account. Isn't it interesting that drawdown there is very similar to that? Now, is that the bottom of the drawdown? I don't know, guys, but I'm hoping it is. $20. Well, at the moment, it came up a couple of $1.60 something yesterday. $21 for Corsair, guys. If you're planning to hold this for a long time, then potentially it's a good buy. But the point that I'm trying to make here is, I don't know, of course, it's the best. Well, let's just use it. Is there's the highs, guys. It only has to come into here for me to break even, and maybe a little bit lower for me to break even. So it's nowhere near the highs. So that's what I'm talking about, and I've a lot like that. Let me see. NIO is another one that's gone ballistic recently, but that one isn't actually as nice in that that's not too far off the high. But then I've added there and I've added there. Now, what I'm thinking is, if they continue to drop, and I add, I don't know, say $1,000 a month to the account, you just buy up more and just spread it out across everything that's held there. Roco is another one that's continued to dive. I bought in here. As I say, guys, nowhere near the tops. But isn't that, look at that, guys. Now, what's worrying me about that is if that turns out to be a 5 wave, and of course, that third wave can't be the shortest, therefore, the 5th wave maybe comes down to there, or maybe just truncate it. But to be honest, the size of that and the size of that, you'd need a half decent. So maybe down into there, and from there it'll start coming up. So if you bought in there again, then your average starts to come out in here somewhere. So that doesn't have that far to go before you're breaking even, guys. Okay. Right. Digressing here, guys. Obviously, we're supposed to be talking about currencies. So let's get over there. Let's just finish this. So, New Zealand GDP come in at minus 0.3, expected minus 1.6. So obviously that's come in better than expected. And then today we're looking for employment and unemployment in Australia. Come in hot. That's better than that. And that's better than that. So the Aussie will have taken a boost from that, guys. I've only 2 currency trades on at the minute, guys. One is Euro Oz short, and the other one's Pound Oz short. Oh, yeah, Pound Oz shorts. In other words, the Aussie long in both of them. Bank of England interest rate decision at 12 o'clock, 25 minutes time, guys. We'll see what they have to say. I don't think they're going to increase interest rates this time round, but obviously it will, quantitative easing, we'll see what they do with that. And then we'll see what they have to say about their view on the economy and what needs to be done. And the market will react accordingly, not necessarily in what they do today, folks. I don't think they'll do anything at the minute because of there's a big fear at the moment in the UK that the Omicron figures are going to go through the roof in January, and that may well cause a partial close down of the economy, which obviously they don't want to be hiking rates at the same time that businesses are struggling to find some turnover. But we'll have to see what they say, guys. Interest rate decision, press conference, ECB. I don't really know. They're not really in much different of a situation. They're not overly concerned about the about the value of the euro. That's not the word I'm looking for, guys. I haven't heard them in a while, so we'll leave that one. I had something in my head of what they said, but I've forgotten what it was. Yeah, I would take the dollar long over the euro, guys, unless these guys come out and say something. And obviously, I'll keep an ear to the ground for that today, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. And then market manufacturing PMI flash in the United States, and then tomorrow, Bank of Japan and euro interest rate, inflation rate. Right, let's get on to the charts. Yen starting to push down. Let's see if it can accelerate down through here, guys. DXY. Now, what did I say the other day, guys? I said that I wouldn't be trading the dollar long until we got some sort of drawdown. Now, this would have been on the 4 hours because I think that's probably a little bit exaggerated. So let's just clean that up a little bit. It's still what I'm looking for, but it's possibly a little bit. When you draw these in the 4 hour and then you switch down to the 1 hour, the drawings always look exaggerated, guys. So there's what we're looking for, an equivalent of that drawdown there, which would bring it down into there, but you'd like to break that bottom. So maybe once it got down into that sort of area, obviously it's not going to go straight there. We'll see how it gets there. And then we'd look to start buying the dollar up. Don't know if it's going to get there or not, guys. But isn't it interesting that I did say the other day, when we were looking at this structure, I said, look, that's a little zigzag there. I think we're sitting around here somewhere. And I said, listen, this could go up, hit you a double top, and then give you that to give you an A, B, C wave before prices continue on up, or before the dollar continues on up. And there, what did it do yesterday during the press conference? Flashed up, give a double top, and then rejected it. And let's just wait and see if this happens. Now, I'm not going to try and trade that, guys, because I don't know that it will happen. But what I do know is the dollar should be long on the higher time scale, and therefore if that were to come down there, it's a correction of that. It's a flat correction. It's an ABC because it gave us a double top. And if we got that, then that'd be a great place to start trying to trade the dollar. I don't know if we're going to get it, guys, but this is the whole point of me doing these, these little analysis videos every day. It isn't to give you setups. If I see one, obviously, it's to help people understand the thought processes that you need to go through when you're looking at charts, folks. And different people are at different levels, therefore, different people get different things out of it. Okay, so what did we say the other day? We said we're looking for this to drop, but it could, because of that structure, it could well push long before it comes down, giving you a zigzag before it goes. Doesn't have to, but that, if we got it, and obviously if we got that, then our alarm line would be along there, and then you're looking for that to drop. Pound. Well, if the dollar does make that breakout, you could see some more upside to the pound. The pound's tricky at the minute, guys, because you're going to get that interest rate decision today, which could push it in one direction or the other. I suspect it would weaken the pound rather than strengthen it, so it could go from there. But it would be nicer to see a bit more upside to this before it went. Aussie. How's this developing? It's not bad, guys, when you consider we put that little copy that in when we got to here. We did say, listen, it's not going to look exactly like that, but so far, it's kind of looking like that. The only thing I would say is that if you weren't looking for the dollar to go long, you would possibly look to trade that up. But because I am looking for the dollar to go long after it goes short first, then yeah, perhaps this isn't the one to trade, guys, because the Aussie's going long at the minute, and you don't want to trade long against long. Now, there's potentially a trade in there somewhere if the dollar drops, guys, but I don't know if it's going to drop. We're just looking for it to drop. So don't jump into that expecting the dollar to drop. Therefore, you'll get a good trade there, because if the dollar decides not to complete the structure, and it doesn't have to do anything, if the dollar decides to go long without giving us that zigzag, then that could drop from there. So I'd be careful of that one, folks. New Zealand, same thing. You've got the push up. We were looking for it to move up there. I would remain on that. Now this is just the position I decided to take with this, guys. If you decide you want to trade that up because you believe that the dollar is going to continue to weaken, then or get into it and you think the dollar's going to drop, then it could turn out to be a good trade. Then you get your stop to zero, maybe you trail it, and if it turns out that then the dollar turns and goes, and this comes down, then you've made a nice little bit of money. The other thing about it is it's an ending diagonal, and most of the time an ending diagonal will give you a nice impulsive move at the end of it. And there you have it. And it's broken out, which is what we were looking for. I think I better just move it now. I'm not sure what good that's going to do. We'll see. I'm not interested in trading it. Look at that. Now, I said that was going to come down. Do you remember what I had here, guys, when it was like that? I brought it back up, and then I said it would do that. Now, it went further, but look, that is quite a significant move in the CAD. Now, let's see, what's the oil price done? The oil price moved up. It's still in that, which is looking like it wants to break out. So it's not the oil price that's caused that sudden move in the CAD. Let's go back over here. What was the day before? Inflation. Is it because inflation came in as expected? No. Let's go back to it. Is it setting up a running flat? Let's keep an eye on this, guys. Let's just clean it up a little bit. Now, remember, you really shouldn't. You can go and find this information out, guys. Remember, this is just one of the many things I do in a day. So sometimes I go and find out. I'm really interested, and other times I don't. It's not where most of my money is, guys. But it's just interesting. Look at that spike there, that spike there. Okay, let's look at a few other charts. We'll look at a few other CAD charts and see if we can pick anything up from it. Swiss dollar, there was the spike yesterday. It's pulled back down. We're looking for that. We'll not necessarily get it, but we're looking for that. And that would be a lovely place to try and trade it up. Same here. We got the spike back up again. It's dropped off. This is a reason that you don't buy things when they're, look like they're going to break out. You either wait for them to break out and give you a setup, or you buy them at the bottom and try and trade them up. So I was looking at this and saying, well, it's in a little flat. Let's see if it breaks the bottom. If it does, we'll have our alarm line there. If the dollar starts coming along, then we trade that up. US yen, Well, you had the spike up in the dollar yesterday. It hasn't dropped again that much. That's because of that drop there in the yen, guys. But structurally, I would still look for that. And, if you don't get it, then don't trade it. Gold dropped and back up, followed the dollar. I've got nothing. I'm not particularly excited about gold at the minute. I've got some money in it, as I always say, but it's been lying there for months now, guys. And silver's the same. Silver's moved up quite nicely. The one thing I was saying about this the other day was, if this is a fifth wave, then if silver were to break that bottom there and come down into this area, then for me that would be a zone that you would start to buy, around $20. But you're going to have to hold on to it for a long time. But it's there as a hedge against the markets continuing to correct, guys. Bitcoin, they all made a bit of a recovery last night. That was the move there. It came in about 7:30, 8 o'clock last night. That's 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Yeah, this on 1 hour. That was the recovery move last night, guys, and that was the drawdown. Let's see if this starts to break. I'm not overly confident in that breaking, guys. It could well continue, to drop here. Maybe comes down into there before it goes. Doesn't have to, but don't be surprised if it does. Ethereum, it had a nice move as well. Let's see if the momentum's starting. I'd prefer it to drop deeper before it went. I don't want it to drop, guys, because I mine it, and if it's going down, it means Bitcoin going down, means everything else going down. I would like them to go long. All I'm saying, from the point of view of, buying in, it'd be nicer to see it coming to there, because that would be a nice level to buy in at, and then you trade it back up. Of course, there are other people who have different ideas about this. There are people who had this sort of structure, and this is the thing with Elliot, and people see what the hell they want, guys. I don't think that's a structure. They're saying that's and this is the breakout. Well, it could well be, but I'd prefer to run it like that, kind of parallel. And if prices were to come down into that sort of area there, then that'd be the place to get involved. Oil, as I've said, it looks like it's getting ready to break out. Euro Cad, it's come up, little double top within this structure. If the dollar goes long, then the euro goes short, which means that this could well drop. This is the CAD again. So there's been that little move on the CAD. I'm just going to throw that to one side at the minute, because I'm not entirely sure where to put it. Euro Oz. This is one of the two trades I do have on. Let's have a look at it a little bit closer. It's nice for me, for a change, to actually get something. I'm being sarcastic, not with myself. Remember, I'm talking to myself here, guys. Yeah, so often, and recently I've taken currency trades that have just bombed me out, guys. And this is one that's moving nicely, so that's a nice thing to see. And I think there's more downside to this. Just look at how it moved there, guys. So I'd like to see a nice move like that. Now, the one thing that's potentially running against this is, if the dollar does go short, then the euro will get a little boost. So then you could see that pulling back up. So it's just a case of getting the stop loss to zero, and wherever it is, I don't know exactly where it is, getting the stop loss to zero. Might have got it as it broke out there, and hoping that it doesn't come back up and stop you out, and hoping that it runs on down. And that's the best you can hope for when you're trading currencies. Euro New Zealand, even better, guys. We were looking for it. I've been talking about it for quite a while. Nice move, hoping that it continues and gives us, a half decent drawdown here. Drawdown, is that the right word? And we'll just put the alarm over there. And if you're not in it, obviously you're looking for a setup to try and get in it. Euro yen. Now, there's the drawdown. That's the weakness in the yen, pushing the euro up, or the euro yen up. That's not a place to get involved in it. If you look at how it moves, you get an impulse, it draws back down again, you get an impulse. And even if it's going to go in that direction, the chances are it'll do it something like that, guys. So I wouldn't get involved there. If it dropped back down again, maybe. But the problem I have is I don't really have a setup for things like that. There's no setup in there. What you have to do is look at it on a higher time scale. You see it turning, and you just get in. Now, do you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember the last time I traded DXY and then got out of it just before it took off? Was it here? I think it was there. Let me go to the 4 hour. It was here. Yeah. Where price had dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. And notice the ending diagonal. I decided to get into it, pushed up there, come back, put me back in the red. Pushed up here, thought, oh, we're away now. I come back, put me into the red, and I got out. And I got out about a day before we got that beautiful impulse, and could have even continued trading it from way down there somewhere, guys. Look where the dollar is now compared to that. So if we go back to that chart, that's kind of what it reminded me of. Which chart was it? Euro yen. You see? Which dropped and dropped and dropped, and potential for a little ending diagonal in there. Where is my MACD? MACD's disappeared. Don't know where it's going. We'll get it back. You see that structure? It's very similar to that dollar at the time. Now, I'm not suggesting this is going to take off, guys, but just looking at the structure, if you wanted to trade this long, if it were to drop again, maybe you buy in there and you see if it gives you an impulse up. Euro Swiss. Same thing, guys, but we're looking for a breakout and a setup. Let's get down to the 1 hour time scale. There is a breakout, but I don't see any setup at the minute. But if it were to give you a setup, potentially there's a move up there. Now, is it sustainable? I don't know the answer to that, guys. And I'm not going to jump into it. I would have to see it getting away from here, and then maybe giving us a setup and going. And then by that stage, we might well have a reason for it moving. Now, if the dollar goes short, the euro will go long. There's a reason. But then you're also looking for the franc to go short. And why would that happen? Well, if the markets have decided that they're not that frightened of inflation, or whatever the Fed's going to do about inflation, rather, and money would continue to go into the markets. Therefore, you might see some money coming out of the Swiss. And if that's the case as well, gold would maybe come off, which would push the Swiss up. So there's a reasonable case for trading that up, but not just yet. Pound CAD. Yep, that's what we were looking for. Set the alarm off. I'm not in it. I'm not going to jump into it because I'm already in the pound Oz. The other thing it could do is put the pound Oz trade to zero, and therefore you're not risking anything. And if you took that one, then once it gets away. If it gets away, then you put that to zero, and you have two trades against the pound, both with their stops at zero. The problem with this one is we're so close to the interest rate decision. In fact, it's 2 minutes away from the interest rate decision. Yeah. And that could give that a kick. So obviously don't take it before the interest rate decision. Pound Oz, well, there's the other trade that I have on. Going nicely. Hoping to see it maybe give us a run like that. Down into there. Pound New Zealand, same thing, guys, is what we're looking for. Maybe to there, maybe even further. Depends what's going to be said in a couple of minutes' time, guys. Hopefully I've got my stops to zero. I don't think I have, actually. Pound Swiss, same thing. It could turn and go, but I think either the Aussie and New Zealand were the trades. Pound Euro could also go if the pound's going to run short. Pound Yen, it's pushing away, could well drop, but it's not going to be the best trade, guys. And then Aussie Yen, guys, we're getting exactly what we're looking for. Do you remember I circled this and said that's a setup to break out? Well, there's the breakout. You know, anyone else would be shouting from the trees about these things, guys, but it's just not my nature. You would do an individual video on that and then promote it. And then everybody thinks you're really smart, but it's not about being smart. It's just about a process, guys. Ending diagonal on there, guys. It doesn't have to. I can't show it in the MACD. I don't know where the MACD is. Let's just get that indicator, and I'll pause you and bring the MACD in. Okay. It's not blatantly obvious, but there certainly is. We've certainly got that, and we've got that. Now, what can happen with these is they come up and they look like that, and they look like they're an ending diagonal, and it turns out it's just some continuing running flat, and it just goes and goes and goes, guys. So I'd be I certainly wouldn't try and trade it down, but if it did drop, I would look to buy it back up again. We've witnessed these before with the Aussie dollar or Aussie, like that one. Do you remember that one? Where we got that, we got the setup, got the impulse, and then it just ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. I think I got out of it around there somewhere as it was coming down, but it wasn't a smart move to get out of it because look how much more there was in it. That's kind of the sort of thing we're looking for with this pair, folks. You can see how it moves. Very rarely moves impulse. Nice impulse there and there, guys. But most of the time. The other little thing we do need to just be wary of with this one is, oops, what is that I've picked up? That's not what I was after. Horizontal ray. It's a little bit close to there. Doesn't mean it has to stop there, guys, but you need to be aware of it. It isn't a place you'd want to buy. So if you did get a bit of a pullback from here, then for me that'd be the place to buy it. Aussie Swiss, moving along. Now I think I was looking for this to come a little bit lower, although I did say when we were here, I said I'd prefer to see it coming down into the 61, but it could go from here. And I said that yesterday, guys. And look, let me see if it was yesterday, December 14th. It was a couple of days ago. And I said, listen, this will break out and go. And I said, listen, if you bought it here and it dropped, then just buy it again there. So I'm starting to feel a bit more comfortable with this again. When you're away from it for a while, it takes you bit of time to get the feel for what's happening, guys. And then you've got to kind of set things up and then wait to see if they're going to happen, and then they happen. Then you've got something for you guys to look at. Rather than me saying every day, I don't know what's happening, I don't know. Well, we do know a little bit now. We know enough to be trading it now. So, yet again, this is Aussie Cad. I don't like trading this pair, guys, because I don't know I could probably go off and read a lot about it and come back with a better idea of how to trade this pair, but I don't know how to trade this pair, and therefore I tend not to. Now, the Aussie's been pushing up, but the Cad's also had a good run today, and yet it's not reflected here. So if you got that down again, no, just leave it. I can't give you any advice on that. Swiss Yen, still running flat, guys. And it'll do one of two things. Either it'll give us the other side of that, in which case I'd be very keen to trade it long, or it could push on up. And I know that sounds, you're saying, well, of course it's going to do one of those two. But the point of it is that there's one of the places you'll trade it and the other place you won't. And for me, you don't try and trade it there. But if it were to drop and give us a nice zigzag, then it's a much higher probability that you would get a good trade in there than this. Cad Swiss, whoa. Well, it's a start. It's what we said yesterday, was that we were looking for this to maybe consolidate here to give us a setup to go, but it's pushed on up. I would say the same thing. If you're looking to get into it, don't jump in there. Wait for it to correct. Wait for it to give you maybe a little setup on a lower time scale, and then maybe see if you can get into it. Obviously, we'll have to move that now. And your target will obviously be there for a start, and then let's see if it breaks on through there. CAD, same thing, guys. We said impulse correction, come down to the 88, a little deeper than I would have liked, and now we're getting an impulse again, guys. I suspect this will come up. Same story. Your first target would be there, and then after that, you're looking to see if it can get back up to here and maybe even beyond. But the important thing is get your stop to zero if you're already in it, and then it's all about your courage. And if it comes back and stops you out, it doesn't matter because you didn't lose any money, and you've given yourself a roll of the dice. New Zealand yen, same thing. We said it would break out, folks. There, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row, said it would break out. There we go. Problem is now you can't jump into it there. You would have needed to have taken the gamble down here. And now you're in a nice position to put your stop to zero and hope that it continues on up. The next time you can get involved in it would be when it decides to correct that move. Then that's where you would get into it again. New Zealand Cad, another one I don't know anything about. New Zealand Swiss, wow, look at that one. Okay, another one I've got right. So I'm actually quite pleased with these guys. I've been back doing these for about a month, and we're starting to see some results. Okay, that'll do for today, guys. I'll speak to you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.